Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, I'm going to do a follow-up on my epics, which you can run at level 50. This is going to be epics you can play with without books. I've done a similar video probably a few months ago now, so I'm kind of refreshing it and putting out the champions that I think now are super relevant in the game, that you can run without books, that you can actually run in a lot of different content. So we're going to kick straight in. We're going to start off with one of the best epics in the game, Morsian Mage. So Morsian Mage, and let me just give you a bit of a flavour of why don't you book some champions? Why can you get away without booking some? Well, pretty much, if the books do not drastically reduce cooldowns of like important skills, if the books do not drastically improve the chance to lay debuffs, then you can actually get away without booking them and they'll still be working almost the same. You know, most times when I'm looking at these lists, it's like, who would only benefit in terms of like a small amount of damage output? So if I look at a Morsian Mage as my first one here, increased damage and increase in debuff chance on the decreased speed, it's not really what his kit's all about. He's mainly about block debuffs, increased crit rate, increased defense on his A2. A reduced cooldown here is not the worst thing in the world, but you definitely don't need it for him. Certainly not in the content you're going to run. Generally, he's there to partner with someone like a Seer or partner people in the arena or give additional buffs and things like that in stuff like Dragon. So this is the only skill which I would kind of sanctify a book into, but otherwise I'd actually run him without books absolutely fine. You don't need a reduced cooldown on his A3 either. So really good champion, definitely can be run without books. Morsian Mage, number one. Second one then, I would actually say I'd prefer not to book the second one. So you've got Occult Brawler. Occult Brawler does everything he needs to do in his kit without additional books. So you get no additional books in his passive. That just happens 70% chance to place a poison. That happens whether you book him or not. The first skill here, you do get an additional debuff chance on his A1 if you book it. That's a nice to have. And the second skill you actually don't want to reduce the cooldown of, because basically you want him to use his A1 as often as possible. So, as I say, a nice to have is additional debuff chance on his A1. You definitely don't want to be booking out his A2. Occult Brawler, fantastic champion and really strong without books. Let's go for the next one. So the next one is Mrs. Fire Knights. She's actually very good at Spider as well. She's all about her A1, Allure. Allure is all about her A1 skill. Her A2, weak source, decreased defense, we don't care. Big hitter on her A3, well, we don't build her that way anyway, generally. So she's all about landing, decreased turn meter on her A1. Books will only increase her damage. And the chances are you can't build her with damage to get everything else away, which will be her accuracy, her survivability, her speed. They're the things you need on an Allure, not damage. So Allure doesn't need books, and she is still equally as effective in the job she is built to do. So let's go for the next one. She's actually in here. No, she's not. She's Knight Revenant. Doom Priest. Doom Priest, fantastic champion. Pretty much, Doom Priest is all about her passive, and that is to remove a debuff at the start of every turn she has. Build her fast, build her strong with survivability, and she will keep removing all of the debuffs from your champions. So she can remove things like stuns from the clan boss. She can remove anything in the arena that comes at you like freezes. She can remove the debuffs from the dragon. All of that happens without books. You can get books into her other skills. Quite frankly, it's not worth it. Doom Priest, fantastic without books. Just as strong, I'd say, without books as she is with books. So let's go on to the next one then. It's another undead. This is going to be Gordrab. So Gordrab, top 10 epic. He's basically known for his revive here. I mean, you book it from a 6 to a 5. Is it worth it? Probably not. You probably won't need to use that ability twice anyway. You can get a bit more turn meter fill on his A2, which is not a terrible place to put a book. And I wouldn't bother booking anything on this A1. So the only place I would care about a book dropping would be his A2. I wouldn't be throwing books into him for that. For me, fantastic champion without books can be just as good. You still get your speed aura. You still get your revive going through your faction wars. You still get this increased attack and turn meter fill for something like the arena. Chance of you using that twice in the arena is pretty much 0. And the chance of you needing it twice in other content is probably quite unlikely. So, Dordrab, fantastic without books, really strong epic. Next one, I was unsure whether to put the next one in. So he's one of the free champions, Grush. He's one of my favourite epics in the game now. Brilliant, brilliant epic. As a freebie as well, I love it. I'm really pleased they put him on the login rewards. I absolutely love this champion, really good. So he's got a leech on his A1. You do get additional debuff chance for books here, which is why I was unsure whether to put him in, because these additional chances are kind of strong if you're going to play him in Clan Boss. Outside of Clan Boss, I wouldn't be booking up this skill. The chance to increase your decrease attack or decrease crit damage. The skill's a bit flaky anyway. It's a nice AoE hitter. You don't really need the cooldown either. And you've got heals here on his A3. Again, it's a nice to have, but it's not a requirement. He's strong with or without books. He was one I was unsure of. He's kind of like my added bonus to this list. We're actually going to throw 11 in because of this guy. But I would play him without books, but if you've got spare books, he's probably worth throwing some into. So the next one then, a lot of people ask me to do guides on this guy. I've just not got around to doing one yet. He's like a mid-tier epic, the Nassau. So he does get a bunch more debuff chance on his A1. I wouldn't put books into Nassau anyway. He's not strong enough to put books into, but he is a good champion. Increased defense on his A2 and heals, and decrease the duration of enemy buffs, AoE ability here. I wouldn't book any of these abilities. He's strong without books. He's not top tier. He's a strong tier in the game. He can help you with stuff like Spider. He can help you with sort of general dungeon carry, faction war carry. I wouldn't put books into him, but he's kind of cool without books as well. Cool. Next one then. I did a guide on this guy recently. Brilliant, brilliant epic, unsung hero. I'll ping above the guide if you want to check it out. This guy, Husk. He smacks really hard. This ability gains no additional damage. It's an AoE, smack, enemy max HP. You'll get no additional damage from putting books into him. Well, you get like 5%. The stuns do go up, and the stuns are an effective part of his kit, but I don't think you need books if you're using him for damage. If you're using him for an arena stun champion, then maybe you need books. Otherwise, you don't. I wouldn't put books into this A3, and I don't really care about his A1 provoke that much. So for me, kind of sits in there as strong without books, probably gets stronger with books. Okay, next one is going to be, I think she's Dark Elf. No, must be High Elf. Click the right button, please. Yeah, Battle Sage. Battle Sage, almost exclusively for me, as an arena champion. She's got an all-battle aura, which is cool. I guess if you get a Battle Sage and you're earlier to mid-game, then you might use her in a lot of content. But she just gains damage on her A1. It's not what she's going to be used for anyway. She gets a reduced cooldown on her A2, which is not bad. But for the arena, you're not going to use this twice. A bit like Dordrab, really. It's a nice to have, not a must have. And the increased attack, chances are, it goes on for 2 turns. They can't remove it anyway. So chances are you don't need to reduce the cooldown here. Revive on death is a bit of a flaky ability anyway. So I'm not so fussed about getting the reduced cooldown on this ability. So for me, Battle Sage works absolutely to her strengths with or without books. And then the last one, who I'm going to throw in, is actually going to be Skytouch Shaman. So Skytouch, kind of similar style champion to what we've just seen. She's been known to get chilly in the winter, that's for sure. She's got a lot of plumage going on, but she ran out of material for her legs, unfortunately. She gains damage on her A1. It's nice to have, it's not a must have. She gets reduced cooldown on her A2, which again is a nice to have, not a must have. If you're going to run her in something like Clan Boss, then you need books. But for most content like Arena, like Dragon, you can run her without books. And then a passive, you gain a bit of extra healing. It's not a lot, to be honest. This is all a multiplier rather than an additive buff. So you'd only actually gain like an extra, 2% of healing. So it's actually pretty measly. So I would run her without books, absolutely no problem. So guys, that's 11 champions, all in the epic category that you can run without books, and they'll still be incredibly strong if you're struggling to get, which is probably the hardest commodity in this game. I've been Hell Hades. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you later.